Welcome to Belinda's Corner, a saltwater taffy show. Today we're going to be looking at Animorphs 4, The Message, which was released in October 1996. Its cover shows Cassie, this being her first book to narrate, morphing into a dolphin in one of very few covers not to have an abstract cloud background. She's jumping out of the water as she morphs. Cassie and Tobias are having dreams at the sea, and a news report shows debris with Andalite writing washing up on the shore. They acquire dolphins at the gardens to investigate. After their first attempt goes badly, they eventually discover a ship containing Aximili Esgaruth Ithstil, Prince Elfangor's younger brother and the last survivor of a Yeerk Andalite battle. After another Yeerk battle, they take the newly rechristened Axe home, and he acquires a human morph made out of Jake, Rachel, Marco, and Cassie, and he unofficially joins the team. Admittedly, I have little to say about much of Cassie's first outing, although I have quite a bit to say about Cassie herself. I think I like Cassie more than most people like Cassie. Talking about Cassie with Animorphs fans seems to create this weird and kinda silly dichotomy. Animorphs fans would be like, Animorphs is so deep and anti-war, it's got such a great message, war is evil, and then bring up Cassie to the same people and they'll be like, Cassie sucks because she doesn't like fighting the Yeerks. At this point, while the Animorphs' voices are distinct, Cassie's calming presence doesn't particularly stand out. But as the series wears on, I really came to appreciate Cassie for being the most level-headed of the group and the emotional center. Animorphs has never quite fit the strict definition of TV tropes' five-man band, which consists of the leader, self-explanatory, the lancer, which foils their characterization, the big guy, the toughest and most battle-oriented member of the team, the smart guy, the brilliant genius, and the heart, the group's emotional center, although the Animorphs are described as such on the five-man band page. For the most part, they certainly don't fit the stereotypes. Rachel is described as a big guy, despite her model-esque human form. Tobias is more of the group's scout than the galaxy-brain genius usually associated with the smart guy. Marco is named as the Lancer, but he isn't particularly a characterization foil to leader Jake. In fact, sometimes he's more of a dumb muscle type than Rachel. There's only two that really fit strongly. One is Jake, whose role as the leader comes to define him and control his life, and Cassie, who fits neatly into the role of the heart. That's what she should be thought of as the emotional center of the group. She has the most rational responses of the group and the least emotional baggage. The relative blandness of her character makes her by a wide margin the least popular of the six narrators, but I will stand by her as an important part of the bigger picture. Aximili Esgaruth Ithstil becomes so much of a fixture of the rest of the series, it's hard to remember that he's not around for the first three books. His introduction here is memorable, with him initially hostile towards the Animorphs, then his mourning of the loss of his brother Elfangor, which he did not know about prior, and then his decision to join their squad. Interestingly to note, Marco adopts the Axe nickname literally the first time anyone calls him by name. This is also the book where Axe gains his human morph, taking DNA from Jake, Rachel, Cassie, and Marco. As much as I love Visser 3, this being the fourth book where he's shoehorned into the story, I kind of have to wonder if Animorphs could have stood to have more of a rogues gallery and not just him all the time. He certainly is intimidating and a great villain. I'm just saying that they maybe could have stood to have had more than just him and occasionally Visser 1 to show up at the climax and frighten the Animorphs. Some of the later books have great one-off villains, and some of them would have been great as recurring threats. The Message was where the Animorphs began to hit its stride. The invasion was the introduction to the series as a whole, the Visitor was an intimate family drama showing the consequences of the fight, and the Encounter was Tobias' internal struggles as his life as a hawk. But the Message got the ball rolling. The Animorphs have finally become a party of six, which would become the standard for much of the rest of the series. Most of the gang's iconic morphs have been acquired by this point. The foundation has been laid, so let's see how the series builds further in Animorphs 5, The Predator. Subscribe and hit that bell if you want to be notified when that comes out. And if you want this series to continue, please consider supporting Saltwater Taffy on Patreon.